It's been made of the businesses or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community in accordance with 2.2, 3711A7, consultation with legal counsel or briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in an open meeting would adversely affect the negotiation or litigating posture of the public body, and in accordance with section 2.2, 3711A8, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel.
So moved.
That's a lot.
Second. Probably moved and second that we go into closed session. All those in favor,
Quick.
I got it.
Does that allow us to talk about compensation for employees?
I do not believe you have personnel.
We don't have personnel on there.
I need a 2-minute.
What number's personnel?
It's not,
A what?
A,
I need to tell you about, you were talking about tourism.
take me
late.
just a minute,
need
but
to
I
tell
will
you
get there.
about
2.37.
economic tourism driver, Blue Green,
Mr. Chairman, I apologize for that.
No, that's right.
and we were, was talking about the tourism group, and the conversation I had about this. So,
Hey, Doc.
And then a very long post that I saw about this too. But we were in, Belham this weekend, and we were talking about the nature said, "Oh, you want to stay?"
Getting there, sorry, 2.2 is big. Is it A1? You sure? Okay.
All right.
A1.
So moved, adding A1 for personnel.
So second, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We're in closed session.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded, we go back into open session. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I will now poll members certify that to the best of your knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and as identified in the motion for which a closed meeting was convened were discussed and considered by the board. If any member believes that the board varied from the purposes stated for the closed meeting, please state so and the reason prior to casting a vote. Mr. McCotter?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Williams? Yes. Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward?
Yes.
All right, we're back into open session. This is the Monday, October 21st meeting of the Louisa County Board of Supervisors. I'd like to welcome those of you that are here in attendance in the public meeting room and those that are joining us by live stream. We will start today's meeting, as we always do, with the invocation by Mr. Barnes this evening and the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'd like to join us, please stand.
Let us pray. Father, I stretch my hand to thee. Know the help that I know. If thou withdraw thyself from me, Father God, where shall I go? Father God, we're the seventh here representative of Louisa County. Father God, we ask that you give us the wisdom, but first keep your grace, because with your grace you allow us to do good things for the people of Louisa County. We ask that you bless and keep us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is the adoption of the agenda. Mr. Woodward, I think you have an addition.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I would like to add to, under information discussion items, number 2, road dedication.
Sir? Are there any other changes to the agenda?
So
Board
moved. Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the the agenda as adopted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Next is the approval of the minutes.
So move.
Second.
Properly moved and second that we approve the minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next is the approval of the bills.
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second we approve the bills. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next is the approval of the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I don't believe we have any recognitions tonight. That would bring us to public comment. During the public comment period, you can, it's your opportunity to address the board on any issue that is not a public hearing. We do not have any public hearings this evening. When I call your name, come to the podium and give your name and your voting district. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. I'll give you a warning when you have 15 seconds left. And first is Carol DeZorzi. I always get, do I get that right? I always think I messed, yeah, I thought, okay, I got it.
Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say. My name is Carol DeZorzi. I'm with the Cuckoo District. I am here tonight representing Louisa Klein, and we wanted to kind of give an update on how our big clean event went over the weekend. We ended up picking up 170 bags of trash
Wow.
over a 2-day period.
Wow.
We picked up Pottiesville Road, Fredericks Hall Road, Mitchell Point Road, Birds Mill Road, Buckner Road, Bumpus Road, Blue Ridge Shores neighborhood in Lake Anna, near Lake Anna, Lake Louisa, I'm sorry.
Louisa.
Route 208 and Kentucky Springs intersection, Birds Mill Road, and Moody Town Road.
Gosh, that's a lot. Good job.
Well, actually, it was a 3-day period, because a couple
Yeah.
of us did Friday. But anyway, we really wanted to thank the board for the support that you've given us. I was waiting for Beth Ann.
Sorry.
Specifically Christian for all of the work that you've done in getting the event moving. Chris and Rachel, thank you very much. We wanted to also thank VDOT. Kathy Fulcher at VDOT has been very patient with us, and she has worked through the Adopt a Highway process with many of our volunteers who have opted to adopt sections of road in the county. We wanted to thank the Sheriff's Office, Major Roberts, and his fellow officers for always supporting us. We appreciate that. Amazon Web Services, who gave us a grant of $10,000, which allowed us to do a lot of the advertising that we did, and that allowed us to buy T-shirts for the volunteers, hats, gloves, vests, pickers, and all that cool stuff. And lastly, but not least, I wanted to thank all the volunteers who put their time in, not only during this event, but planning the event, advertising the event. Jennifer Bailey from the Lake Anna Breeze was kind enough to do the advertisement that we had showing up everywhere. So a lot of people put a lot of effort in for a lot of hours prior to the event and during the event. So I just wanted to say thank you.
You're very welcome. Just a quick question, and we normally don't go back and forth, but I drove down Fredericks Hall Road today and Elk Creek Road today, and there were 30 people picking up trash today. Is that part?
That is Rappahannock Electric actually adopted from Johnson Road to Garrett's Mill Road. So there was a section in the middle that we did not do during our event. They are doing that today as a team building.
Yeah, there were a lot of people, a lot of bags of trash. I mean, so, thank you. You guys are just doing incredible
Thank you
work.
all.
Thank you very much. Next up is Vicki Hart.
Vicki Hart, Louisa District. I missed you. I have two things I want to talk about. One is the turf field, and the other is erosion control. As you may not know, the American Journal of Sports Medicine in 2023 issued a report, and this is what it states. A total of 53 articles published between 72 and 20 were identified for study inclusion. These studies showed that the overall injury rate on playing surfaces between normal turf and new generation and old generation AstroTurf shows that more injuries occur on turf fields than on natural grass. In particular, there are higher foot and ankle injuries on artificial turf, and whether it's an old style AstroTurf or even the new generation of AstroTurf. Similar hip and knee injury rates were reported on both playing surface, particularly for soccer athletes on new generation turf. And for football players, as you have seen with the recent injuries to football players on AstroTurf, it has gotten pretty bad for them too. So the literature concluded that there is a higher rate of injuries on artificial turf compared with natural grass. And the only articles that they found, now remember this is written by doctors, the only articles that they found that said there's a higher injury rate on natural grass received financial support from the artificial turf industry for their writing. With that being said, my grandkids are in Fairfax County, and every time it rains, if they have a soccer game the next day, they're all canceled because the kids slip on the artificial turf and they've gotten hurt. I don't know why you think that spending all this money on turf fields is so much better than what we have now. The second topic I wanted to talk to you about was the erosion control. I'm glad that the state is forcing people to increase their erosion and sediment control requirements. Unfortunately, for a lot in our county, it's too little, way too late. You look at the devastation of Miss Woolfolk's farm south of the town of Louisa and others to show that. And I would also like to say that the property behind me officially has wetlands designation, and mine will be shortly. And the sewage pipes go through there, so any land disturbance done on any of the pipe structures now has to deal with the wetlands designation.
15 seconds.
I'm done.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
Always make the
Thank you.
time.
Thank you. Good to see you again. All right, I don't have any other cards. Is there anyone else who would wish to address the board at this time? All right, seeing none, I will close the public comment period. Move on to information and discussion items. The first item is a presentation by the Louisa Arts Center, and I see the executive director, Karen Welch. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening, supervisors, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for allowing me time to come and talk to you. I'd like to talk to you about and present my annual report and also to give an update on the Louisa Arts Centre. So you should have in front of you a playbill, the latest playbill for fall that gives you all the information about what we're doing and what events and shows we've got coming on. And then the larger document is the annual report. And I'd just like to highlight a few areas as we go through it. So overall, the Louisa Arts Centre had a very successful year last year, with the main highlight being 8 sellout shows. Now, we tend to have one large show a month, so we've obviously got about 12 shows per year. Our average over the last 20 years has been usually 2 to 3 shows a year. So last year, 8 sellout shows was amazing. So hopefully it shows that we are listening to our patrons and we're actually giving them what they want, and that the Louisa Arts Centre is going from strength to strength. Now, in the financial summary, you'll see that we were actually exactly on target for our income, which is quite a feat because we set the budget obviously 18 months ahead of time. So we were exactly on target for the income. We did have a deficit of $28,000, though, due to the expense of the theatre lights. The building itself and the renovations is coming up for 20 years old now, so we are going to have more expenses as we renovate the building. But it's a beautiful building, and we intend to continue to fundraise and raise money to ensure that it stays beautiful for years to come. We also had a record $40,000 that we raised at House of Thai Gala, and also an increase of over $21,000 on budget for our ticket sales, hence the 8 sellout shows, which is really good news. Now, as for our accomplishments, we actually included our first ballet performance last year, and I know I come a couple of times a year to yourselves, so you probably heard it several times before that we had ballet in Louisa. It was amazing, it really was, and the most delightful thing was to see all the children dressing up in their Snow White costumes and wandering around town afterwards. That to me just made it all worthwhile. So it was fabulous, and the Charlottesville Ballet are investing in our theatre and investing in our flooring so that they can come back every year and also allow other dance troupes to come too, which is super. Accomplishments are not only in our theatre. We had 2 more concerts on the fairgrounds, and also over 430 patrons came to our free music and wine on the terrace. Ooh.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right.
Trying to turn the thing off.
Start dancing. Also in the community, our mobile arts bus that actually had over 550 children enjoying the activities with the Louisa County Public Schools summer meals program. We also visited the community closet and football Friday night, so the arts bus is certainly getting out and about. Now, theatre, I think I mentioned previously that our theatre did struggle, as did a lot of theatres around the country, to basically get back on track after COVID. But last year we reinvigorated our theatre with 3 shows. We had a children's show at Christmas time, an adult show in the spring, and also our inaugural Louisa's Got Talent. So this, the latter was actually the brainchild of our new theatre manager. We recruited Eleanor Drew Perkinson to breathe new life into the theatre, and she certainly did. And we also collaborated with other theatres, 4 county players being one of them, to share experiences, and also they shared one of their directors who actually helped to bring the fabulous comedy The Red Velvet Cake War to the stage. Now, collaborations are becoming increasingly important for us to enable us to grow and also provide diverse quality entertainment and events for our community. So last year we partnered again with the school with their summer meals program to take our arts bus out whilst they took free meals out to our underserved areas, and that's something that is growing, and we intend to do that for years to come. This year, however, we are taking it a step further with our collaboration with the school, and we're helping them to enhance the A in STEAM. I'm sure most of you are aware the STEAM project used to be STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths, and then math, and then they inserted the A for art. Now, art, with all of those things to do, is not the main priority. So I felt it was something that the Arts Centre could do to actually help enhance the A in STEAM by taking the arts bus to the schools. So this year, we've already started. We intend to visit all 4 elementary schools with the arts bus in the community and allow all 2,400 elementary school children the opportunity to come onto the bus and to create. We've already had that. We did a week at Moss Knuckles. That's very successful. And we have Trevilians coming up next month. Also, obviously, last year we had Charlottesville Ballet. This year we're actually partnering and collaborating with the Riverside Centre. That's the dinner theatre in Fredericksburg. And we're going to bring Love Letters, a play, to our stage with Sally Struthers. Some of you may know Sally Struthers. Last year we were working with other community groups that we felt could use our facilities, the Arc of the Piedmont being one of them, and they use our classroom now on a monthly basis and bring their members over to do some creativity every month, which we're really happy to do. And we're just about to launch next month a writers' club, and it's the first writers' club I think we will have had, certainly in Louisa, in the Arts Centre, and that's going to be called Write in Louisa. So we're hoping to actually enhance the diverse range of activities and events that we have. You'll see in our annual report, we also give a snapshot of the year ahead, and it has a variety of new and exciting events, as I believe it's our responsibility to introduce the citizens of Louisa to new and different forms of art and culture. And this enables us to achieve our mission to enhance appreciation and inspire passion for the arts in our community. Of course, none of this would be, we'd be able to achieve any of this actually without our support of our donors, of our sponsors, and our grantors. And we are grateful to each and every one of them, and especially to the county for their steadfast support over the years. So thank you for that. Last year, we actually had a turnover for the first time in several years of our board directors. I recruited several new directors to allow those who had served with us for many years to move on if they needed to move on. The new directors are bringing a wealth of skills and experience, and our new president, Stuart Dukeman, at the helm, I'm confident that the Arts Centre will continue to grow to serve the citizens of Louisa and the surrounding areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mrs. Welch? No, thank you. It's, I say this every time you come, and when other people come, it's refreshing for me to see the positive movement in the relationship between the county and the Arts Center over the last 7 years, and the fact that you come back and tell us how you're using the taxpayers' money. And the last time I had the opportunity to be there, Mr. Goodwin and I were there for the fire department graduation and pinning ceremony. So you get your facility gets a lot of use that wasn't in your report, and it's always very nice to be there. So thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening.
Next is a discussion on a road dedication. Mr. Woodward?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a fellow that graduated from Louisa High School in 1966, grew up throughout his school years in Louisa County. He lived down Apple Grove area while he was here. After he and his siblings left home, his parents remained in Louisa County, but they downsized and moved over to Blue Ridge Shores until, through the years, both of them passed away. So quite a few of his fellow classmates have reached out to us and asked that we do something to recognize him. And so the idea of dedicating a section of road to him has been brought up. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that tonight. And his name's Samuel Nelson Drew. As I said, he graduated from Louisa High School in 1966. He left Louisa, went to UNC Chapel Hill, got his undergrad and his master's there, was in the ROTC while he attended North Carolina, University of North Carolina, and Fitz will appreciate that. Anyway, he was in the ROTC program, so when he got out of school, his dad was a retired Army man, so he decided he was going to join the Air Force. So he did, and served a distinctive career there, became a colonel, and so he was in military intelligence. So when he decided to retire, he went in with the State Department and started his service there, and his specialty was the Balkans. Anyway, not to beleaguer things, just to kind of get to the point, he was 47 years old when he died. He had become a professor at the Air Force Academy before he retired. And so with his specialty and with joining that, he went as a policy staff person with the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the Pentagon. Then people recognized things were getting pretty tough in the Balkans, so they recognized his specialty, and President Clinton brought him in to the White House National Security Council. August 19th of 1995, a group of them were over trying to help bring peace to that area through talks. He and two of his fellow State Department people were in a armored personnel carrier going over a mountain in Bosnia, and the personnel carrier rolled down the side of the mountain and killed all three of them, plus the driver. It was recognized that his work was extremely important. In November, that was in August of 95, in November of 95, at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the Dayton Accord was signed, and that brought peace to the Balkans. So anyway, the only person I know of that's ever come out of Louisa County, President Clinton awarded him, obviously, after death, posthumously, the Presidential Medal of Honor. So I think he's very deserving of having something special done for him in the county. Chairman Adams and I have discussed this multiple times. I thought he had a wonderful suggestion that we should name the street Davis Highway in front of the middle school and high school in honor of Colonel Samuel Nelson Drew. So that's why this was brought up tonight, and hopefully my fellow supervisors can see that this is a worthy thing to do and an honorable thing to do.
Thank you, Mr. Woodward. And as Mr. Woodward said, he and I have had several conversations about how to honor Mr. Drew's memory and his service to our country. And I believe the organization, when you said that you were approached, is the organization that's responsible for the flags of the fallen soldiers
Yes, sir. That's correct.
in the town of Louisa. That area is in the mineral district. I certainly have no objection. The process at this point would be for the board, Mr. Woodward, to reach out to VDOT to start that process. So if there's no objection to that,
This for a long time.
sorry?
I think there's been a request for having roads named after individuals who've passed and are worthy of it, and I don't believe the board has honored that in the past. So I don't have an objection. I think this man is definitely worthy, but I do think that we need to have the conversation about what other roads and other citizens who have served, and if this is the path we're going to go down, because I know a couple of years ago I brought this up, and this was not well received by the board. There were some concerns about naming individual roads. I think it's fabulous, but I don't think it will, this is just one of many. I think we need to look at some of the others who have served, because this has come up.
Well, this would be actually 1 mile of the road would be named after this gentleman. The process with VDOT is approximately a 6 to 8 month approval process, then it would come back to the board.
Will we be accepting other names then? Because I know if we do this, we will have other names coming forward. I know of a gentleman who had several names that he had wanted and he had brought to the board, and I know that that time the board had said no. So-
That would be at the pleasure of the board. I mean,
Okay.
yes, sir.
That's fine.
I just have a couple of questions. Sorry, I didn't catch you. Went into this beforehand. Davis Highway runs from Mineral to the light in Louisa,
Correct.
and you're only going to take 1
But
mile?
to the town limits of Louisa.
And you're only going to take 1 mile and change your name? Is that going to be confusing for 911?
It's an honorary name
Yes,
change.
it's just 2 signs
Yeah.
go up
Okay,
either way.
all right.
That's all.
And do we know how Davis Highway got its name?
I do not.
I'm just wondering, was it named for somebody else that did something good and we're now taking, I just don't know.
Yeah, this
I'm not
is
opposed
just-
to it.
This is just an honorary thing. It's not,
It won't change your 911 address or anything?
No, it's like,
Okay.
it's like the street up here before the Sheriff Fortune.
Very good. Okay. I just,
yeah.
questions.
And I certainly have no problem for us to consider others.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem either. I do know that Mr. Harlow had brought this discussion multiple times, and had wanted us to go down this route and the flags and so forth. So I just want to make sure that we are open to other, yeah. Okay.
Any other comments? There's
Mr.
no-
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
as I am not opposed to a process, but I do agree with Supervisor Jones. We've had some people in the past come up with
Some very good names.
some names that were that we need to vet. I'm certainly a man with what Mr. Wood has proposed can get behind it, but I do think we need to kind of put together parameters
I agree.
and then come back. And I'm not trying to prolong this, but I do need, because there are some back issues that I don't mind talking to me about some names that would have caused controversy.
I agree with you on that, that I think we need some parameters, just because it's come up in the past.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see us put together a committee to put together a policy and bring that policy back to the board.
I
All
agree.
right, if there's no objection, we would appoint a work group, Mr. Woodward, Mrs. Jones.
I'm
would
happy to be
yeah.
on it with Mr. Woodward and come up with it.
Yeah, so let's put a date on that so that we don't drag this out forever.
First meeting in December, give you a whole month?
Yeah,
Too
that
far?
work, December 2nd?
Is that too far?
No,
That work
December
for
2nd,
staff?
yeah, that's fine.
That works for staff, Mr. Goodwin?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Thank you. We will move on to unfinished business, which is ordinance amendment, ordinance 2024-09 to the Louisa County Code, Chapter 38, Environment, Article 2, Erosion Sediment Control, Mr. Kuhn. And is,
We tabled this, right?
We tabled it last month to get questions addressed. I believe we have Supervisor Barlow's questions addressed, and.
I got one that came up tonight,
Okay.
because Ms. Hart there said this was now more restrictive, and I thought we were just changing language to meet the word changes.
Correct. They're DEQs.
So one of y'all's right and one of y'all's wrong.
Yes, sir.
Well, I wouldn't phrase it that way. Would you give us staff's perception?
So staff's perception is DEQ has no additional requirements, or Louisa County is going to have no more DEQ additional requirements. But we will now be able to allow a letter in lieu of E&S plan for ag structures, which is something we haven't been able to do previously,
So we're actually getting less regulation.
if you want to look at it this way, yes.
Okay.
Did you
Do
get
we
your
need a motion to take it off the
questions
table?
Mr. Brother?
My main concern was, and I'm dealing with it in Hanover County, they have, I think they had a little bit of flexibility, but they have done away with the letter in lieu of,
We ain't doing that.
which would require residential homes to do site plans, drainage calculation, all that kind of stuff. Is my understanding from Chris Nelson, Linda, and Mr. Coons, that we can still do the letter in lieu of, and that this, what we are looking to adopt is not more restrictive than what we have had. We still have the ability to do the letter in lieu of. And if we can, as long as we can still do that, and we're not making it more costly for people trying to build a house, then I can go along with it.
Is that a correct interpretation, Mr.
Yes,
Coons?
sir.
All right, so I believe you moved to table the motion. Do you want to bring the motion back up for reconsideration?
Yeah,
You need to make a motion.
okay, I'll make a motion that we, based on what staff has told us, that we can move forward with adopting this.
I don't think that's the motion. I think the motion is take it off the table.
Yeah, so the motion would be.
Take it off the table so we can consider it.
Yeah.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion's up for consideration. Now is there a motion for approval? Mr. Berner?
Sure. I make a motion that we approve it, the amendments to be in line with the state ordinance based on the fact that we can still do the letter in lieu of. And I think there are a couple of agricultural amendments that have been added to this.
As presented?
Yeah, as presented. That's good.
Is there a second? All right, properly moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2024-09. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Cooney. Next up is a resolution to adopt this under new business, the county's 2025 legislative platform, which we had a meeting today with 3 of our 4 state representatives. Mr. Goodwin?
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, this was included in your packet. As the chairman noted, you all did review this in detail with legislative representatives who were both present and who joined us virtually today. It includes items like maintaining local zoning control, getting funding for various issues on the lake, broadband, support for small modular reactors, equal revenue, some things that we've supported in the past like jail costs. I'd be happy to share this with the PDC, VACO, and any other representatives in the General Assembly as we shape our efforts with regard to what they do in the General Assembly in the winter. So.
The only comment I would have before we have any discussion or motion is Mr. Barlow did add one item on VDOT's withdrawing of approving site plans. And
Happy to add that, sir.
Happy to add that, yes.
Yep. And we, as in years past, we have tweaked it from time to time as specific legislation has come up. I will certainly keep you apprised of that.
Mr. McConnell,
You want a motion?
whatever the board's pleasure is.
I would say, Mr. Chairman, that we had a good meeting. Representative of the caucus were here, and they were engaged, and they were interested in what we had to say, and I would motion to approve our legislative agenda for this year.
With the,
With the
The
addition.
addition of Mr. Barlow's amendment.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next is a resolution authorizing a budget supplement for the Louisa County Sheriff's Office to adjust compensation to address compression, and we have both Mrs. Colvin and Sheriff Lowe. Mrs. Colvin.
Chairman, members of the board, tonight the Sheriff's Office is requesting a supplement to their budget to address compression issues as our population grows and our call numbers grow. We are having to kind of compete with surrounding counties that are paying much higher salaries than we are as a starting salary. So we're asking for the additional money for this year for him to raise his salaries up to compete with those surrounding counties. If you have any questions, Donnie and I will try to answer those.
Sheriff, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's just, I don't want to be here.
I made him.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to be here mid-year asking for this, but I feel like I'm kind of forced in the position at this point. So I really appreciate your consideration.
Mr. Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And you can come see us sometime. You don't have to. How many deputies are you down?
We're 8 down in patrol, 1 down, and these are full-time deputies. 8 in patrol, 1 in court services.
So 9. Now, are you attributing this to salary issue, mainly salaries?
A lot of it had to do with salaries, but we did have a couple that did retire. But the rest of them went for higher paying jobs. 3 of them got terminated. 4 of them got terminated.
That's it. So, make a long story short. So who are you competing? Who's your big competitor?
Right now, it's going to be actually probably UVA. They're starting off at 63, but they're about ready to go up to 70. And that also has a $15,000 sign-on bonus with no contract. After that,
Wow.
we've got,
They
right
got
now,
billions
we've
of
got
dollars
Goochland.
in
We've got Goochland that's at 61 and some change. They're getting ready to go up too.
Where are we at, Sheriff?
We're at 52, 51.
That's what I thought.
All right, quick question. And you know your job, but have we ever considered that if the board approves such a compensation, that when you sign a deputy on, they have to give you a 2-year, a 3-year?
They do, don't
We do that.
They do that?
We make them sign, if they're going to get a bonus, and that's only for certified deputies, we'll give them a $10,000 bonus, but they have to sign a 4-year contract.
I move we approve it.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded that we approve this mid-year appropriation to address compensation and pay compression of Sheriff's Office. Any further discussion?
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I think this is exactly what we are to do to serve our citizens, to keep our county safe and a good place to raise our families. So this is necessary. Absolutely, I'm fully supportive. This is what we're supposed to do.
I agree.
Thank
All
you.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next up is reports. Do we have any committee reports or board reports?
I do.
Mr. Jones?
Yes, as we all know, coming up in 2025, we're going to be reviewing our comprehensive plan. And we do have a work group, which is made up of myself and Chairman Adams, to review the comprehensive plan. While we have not met yet, we will be meeting in 2025. But county staff, we would like for them to start to work on it because there's some significant growth that's happened in our county since 2021. As we all know, we've seen an increase of residential and commercial development, and our population has continued to grow when the last comprehensive plan was done in 2021. Our growth areas were originally designated to guide where we want our development to be focused, and based on those projections, they have all come from before 2021. This information was provided to me by staff, by the way. We also have a lot of by right uses. I know we have a lot of by right uses up in Zion's Crossroads in our district, which we actually now share, Mr. Barnes and I, for drive-through restaurants, and we have a lot of continued traffic and congestion. So, we do need to look at that and look how we want to use our by right uses. And we just basically need to review the plan overall, our transportation requirements into the future, expanding our services, and really come up with the findings and recommendations on how we can lead with our zoning regulations, our comprehensive plan, and our land use policies. We just have to balance that growth and preservation. So I, with that said, because we have this review coming up, would like to move to direct county staff and our planning commission to review the current growth areas and recommend if the size and locations are still appropriate, and to review intensive by right uses and to provide recommendations considering the changes and development in the county since 2021.
Is there a second?
Do I have a second?
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we direct staff to look into the growth areas. Is there any discussion on?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
And Mr.
Yes.
Supervisor Jones, will there be citizen involvement and participation in this as well? Will there be work groups? Will there be work groups that include citizens in this process? Or is it more of a?
What there will be, in my understanding, is when we did this in 2019, 18, 19, we held a series of tours, one public meeting in each district. Yes, we did, which were well attended. And I've always been under the impression that we were going to do the same thing. There were probably in that series of 7, well, I guess we had 8 because we had one here, probably 1,000 people that came out and participated. There was questionnaires on site, there were maps on site that shows the existing growth areas, the proposals, several different proposals, a lot of input. And I Mr. Jones, if you want to add that to your motion, that
Yeah,
will,
I'm
that
happy
will
to.
ensure that happens.
would
Who was this, hold on, who was the second?
I was.
Would you
Yes, sir.
agree to that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think something we better think about just a little bit was when we went down that road previously, I believe we had 14 committees, 14, or it may have been 19.
That was the, I think you
That
might be
was before.
back in '01,
Yeah.
and then again a few years later.
What we ended up with, we had all of these different committees that were looking at different aspects of the ordinance. And we ended up with overlapping ordinances, which is what we tried to correct when, who was it, Jeff Farrell? He went back and we ended up doing a virtual rewrite. But he tried to clean up the ordinance because everybody, had their input, their committees consolidated what they wanted, and we ended up with
A mess.
a mess. And well, that's exactly what we ended up with.
Well, and that's what we cleaned up in 2019.
It is. Well, so
So
what
we're
I'm,
not going to go
Not
back.
going
That-
there.
There's no recommendation to go back to that. What the recommendation, and the board appointed, well, the chair appointed a committee of 2, myself and Mrs. Jones. The planning commission has appointed 2. I think I know, but I'm not going to say, but the chair appointed 2. That would be the 2 representatives from the planning commission to work with staff, come up with the proposals that we bring forward to the public, and then we work it back just like we did in 2019.
I'm perfectly fine with that, as long as we're not going back to what we did and learned was a mistake in the
I
past.
think we're just looking at the overlay districts and how they match up with the way
That's
our
right.
growth has
Miss-
been today.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just want to remind everyone that the state code says we have to review, not rewrite.
Right.
So I like that you use the word review, not rewrite.
That's true, which is what we're in the process of doing, but I do suspect there'll be some rewriting as we review, but we'll see. But I don't think it'll be an overall revamp of the
I think
entire comprehensive plan, so
I certainly hope not.
I hope not to.
Public meetings and public engagement is very important.
Any other comments? All those in favor of Mr. Jones' motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, that was, any other committee reports? Yes, sir.
Chairman, I have two litter advisory committee report met October 15th. That we reviews proposed staff litter ordinance updates, and we agreed on several to recommend to this body in a coming meeting. Those include increasing fines for littering, as well as a PR campaign to discourage folks from littering here in Louisa County, and educating them on the penalties of doing so. There was also a tie-in with Louisa Clean on Kindness Day, October 9th, in the school system. Over 100 high school students participated in about 30 miles of road cleanup. Louisa Clean, as we heard, just completed the Big Clean event. As you heard, 170 bags of trash, 10 roads. I was especially pleased to note that Major Ronnie Roberts attended this last meeting, which shows that the Sheriff's Department is going to be a very valuable partner in making sure that these ordinances are enforced. That concludes the Litter Advisory Committee report. Lake Anna Advisory Committee, we met on September 26th to set our annual budget and funding requests. We have requested, the committee has requested $8,000 from Louisa County and Spotsylvania counties to help fund administration of the lake's hazard and bridge no-wake buoys, as well as hydrilla management. This is a very bare minimum budget, by the way. At the current level of funding and volunteer staffing, these tasks will become very difficult to continue. So LAC is currently seeking alternate sources of funding. Buoy and hydrilla management funds were part of the Louisa County legislative agenda that we approved. We did discover that Lake Aston receives over $800,000 for aquatic weed management from the Department of Conservation and Recreation, plus another $300,000 from surrounding counties and Dominion Energy. So we're going to await numbers from the harmful algae bloom mitigation program begun this summer. We don't know if the programs that we did have made any difference, but we don't have numbers yet. And we're hopeful that the General Assembly will provide continued financial assistance to continue the mitigation program in 2026, because it is funded for $500,000 in 2025, down from $1 million in 2024. That concludes my report.
Any other reports? I do have an update on the Tourism Advisory Committee. You know, last meeting, we brought the guardrails in a little bit, gave them a little bit more direction. I attended that meeting. Mr. McCotter was unavailable that particular day, and met with them, asked them to focus, per that resolution that the board passed, really in three areas. One is legacy programs, existing programs that are ongoing. Two are potential new programs, and three is infrastructure. And then we also gave them some guidelines on at least this first year, and I don't have this in front of me, but percentages of the budget that would be geared towards those three areas. And again, made clear two things. One, that they didn't have the ability to budget that money that actually came to the Board of Supervisors, and also that while Lake Anna is a large draw to Louisa County, that committee should not, cannot, and will not be a lake-centric committee. It is designed to spread tourism dollars to every business across the county. Once we get them to Lake Anna, get them tours that I'm talking about, get them out into the community to other venues, and if they're at other venues in the county, get them to come to Lake Anna, so that the entire county benefits from that additional revenue from the transit occupancy tax. And in that same vein, I was watching a football game over the weekend. At the end of the football game, I saw a Visit Louisa commercial, and I think several of you said you saw either that one or one before. So those dollars are starting to work for the county already. So, any other committee reports? All right. Board appointments, Mr. Williams, I know we have a couple.
Mr. Chairman, move we appoint Ms. Barbara Perkins to the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, Mr. D.D. Watson to the James River Water Authority, and we reappoint Mr. Tommy Barlow to the Thomas Jefferson Criminal Community Justice Board.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. We make these three appointments. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those appointments pass unanimously. Mr. Goodwin, the County Administrator's Report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, just a couple of items to bring to your attention. The monthly reports for the month of September are included in my report. I want to make sure that you get a chance to remind your constituents about Household Hazardous Waste Day, which is coming up this Saturday. I want to take a moment to recognize our Children's Services Act program, which won an award from the Chamber of Commerce for Nonprofit of the Year, which was open to governmental candidates as well, and also the Board of Supervisors, which was named as an inductee in the Community Honor Roll. So congratulations to all of you. And just a quick note in the finance report that revenue recovery is up this year over last year, $354,000 in revenue versus $319 last year to date at the same time. So always a good barometer of where services are going or trending in that regard. So that's all that I have to bring to your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you get staff, somebody, to send me that flyer on Hazardous Waste Day?
Yes, sir.
So I can post it?
Yes.
Any other questions for Mr. Goodwin? Mr. Barnes?
So move.
Moved and seconded, we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.